I was all posted up outside, and then a cold front came through. I'm going to work out my light here.
Woo! Okay, I'm skipping the intro, but I had to play Flying Whales. I had to play Flying Whales because it came up in my primer conversations with Slick about how I'm going to hold my sanity together through this one. All right, because this is very much right up Slick's alley with the because Heidegger is working on terminologies that work referentially off of the puns that are functioning within German. And then that must be addressed by the translator, who is simply just trying to give you what he said in English, right? And there's so many technicalities because the issue in and of itself is very much the very details by which we describe everything around us, right? It gets right into like that biblical concept of, first thing God told Adam to do is give everything a name. Right? So we're here. Slick's got a whole bunch on this. There's a few other people that were operating with it. So this is Slick Dissident. You must check out Slick Dissident on YouTube. My buddy Gabe here. We met way back in the weave. So we've been good friends ever since he stole my shorts. You had to see the weave. All right. Anyway. The setup for that, right? But anyway, yeah. To get back on track, right? So all of this, of course, revolves around the core principle of Dasein. And so, we're definitely going to be talking about that core principle of Heidegger, and is the central thesis of Being in Time, which is him discovering this term. And I use the word discovery because when you hear in the introduction the construction of this word Dasein in its etymological breakdown in the German, which it is a German hybridized word, just like my name, Zerilath, is an Etruscan hybridized word that I put together based on words that matched something that resonated with me deeply. Dasein resonated with two words in German that encompassed as a whole subject matter a way of viewing things. It's very much an epistemology, and I've been talking about how this, I believe, works almost as the counteraction to objectivism, because I am an Ayn Randian objectivist. But I think I've always also been aware of Dasein, right? And I've always tried to work between the two, the subjective and the objective. And I think this is helping me get the other half. I was just fortunate enough to, be wise enough to, when my liberal people said, don't listen to Ayn Rand, I said, I'm just listening. The hell's wrong with you? I like knowledge. So I went and I read. Right? And so, these are the complicated things that get me here. Now, in the course of our conversation, we also brought up a few subject matters about 2001 Space Odyssey, and then I brought up tarot that corresponded with 2001 Space Odyssey. So that is also going to be in this weave, but we'll work in exactly where me and Slill, I guess about 9:30, I suppose will be okay. All right, so Slick, talk to me. You started dropping a bunch of comments on my first video in the series, and you've been babbling incoherently ever since. Explain yourself, sir.
Thank you. I'm so happy to actually be able to speak. My comments and my style of communication on this limited little medium that we have It does. It's overwhelming, and I'm super happy to put voice to my ideas. So I appreciate the platform, buddy. So yeah, I just want to point out, it's uh, 2 Dasein 1 Space Odyssey. 2 Dasein 1 Space Odyssey. It's hiding out in our language everywhere. The Heideggerian gnosis is the Walt Dasein Welt. This is Walt Dasein Welt.
Okay, yeah, you see, and I'll say that this makes actual very rational sense in thinking about the German of it, because we all know that in Old Norse, there's a lot of people that ignore that, like, there's this letter for TH in Old Norse, right? Because we had a letter in the runes for TH, the Thors rune, right? So a lot of times, people would say Odin, and sometimes it is Odin, but often it is Odin, and it's a TH in there, right? Sometimes it's Tor and not Thor, which is why it's also sometimes Donar, right? So the TH and the D have this interchange. So yeah, and that does make sense, because in 2001 you're in space, you get the isolation, which technically almost gives you the objectivism of a thing, which is like kind of the opposite of Dasein, because you're trying to get out of your one perspective. Where here you're just trying to fill in your whole one perspective with Dasein, right? So you're out of the whole of the world, and so the reality is that space is just this black mirror that you're scrying into your unconscious.
Yeah, man. Also, I have come to appreciate that these people, they laid these designs 100 years ago, and I'm just catching on. And that's kind of, when people learn a new paradigm, they only move forward with it from then forth. I do a lot of looking back at what I missed all along and filling in the context in hindsight. So there's a lot of posteriori buttfuckery going on in my ability to fill in these gaps. But I learned about Weltanschauungskrieg, the worldview warfare. That's a 100-year-old term, and it probably had a legacy before that, But think of this: when you lift up into space and you look down upon the world, Weltanschauungskrieg, that's your worldview, right? And here's something fascinating. If I don't want to go right into flat versus round, but if it is round, you can only see half the picture. If it's a sphere, you can never see the two halves of it. And isn't that strangely true to the realm? That the fundamental of this place is a paradox, Now, if it were flat, then you would be the all-seeing, all-knowing, all from one perspective. So the whole thing about, like, Weltanschauungskrieg having to do with people not even seeing eye to eye on the shape of the place, that's pretty fundamental. But I'm coming to a stance of we should passionately agree to disagree, and we should all, that should be like the ultimate treaty from one person to the next. But I think we're jumping into like ninja level stuff too fast. But Weltanschauungskrieg is fascinating in the context of flat Earth or not flat Earth. And I'll say this: Iron Man, that's F.E. Man, flat Earth man. Captain America, his shield is a flat Earth model. And on 9/11, when Bush was sitting there with all those children with a strange woven wicker basket that's the placenta right next to a American flag, right next to a Shel Silverstein book over his head. Well, that does a very interesting leap of associations for all of the malleable children who can remember. Oh, can you see it? It doesn't show up with my screen. But the Shel Silverstein, the other book he's known for, the cover art for Where the Sidewalk Ends, that installment of the Shel Silverstein poem is a flat Earth poem.
Where the Sidewalk, right, yeah, so no, that's as a little child, you're like, Oh yeah, because in this fantasy world, fantasy, that this was me. I did say fantasy. I did feel like the first time I ever read the poem, looked at the pictures, classic stuff. It was just like the flat. If in the fantasy world, a fantasy world can be flat, right?
Right.
And it's got that sense of whimsy. And well, you know what? The thing is, it's just like a lot of people. At the end of the day, the big thing about flat Earth is not so much that there's a, quote, settled science about it, because it does kind of boil down to a settled science argument, which is nothing more than your trust in the shadow measurements of ancient Greek people before they were able to back it up by measuring more shadows in different parts of the world. But then again, the empire hadn't gotten all over the place yet. Right? So the Greeks.
Right.
Sure. So we trust the Greeks because you keep saying I can't trust anybody that did science in the last 200 years. That is correct. Right.
Yeah,
like, okay,
right.
so see, we do get a little irrational, right? So at the end of the day, it's the stupidity factor, right? It's the looking stupid factor.
Hold on a second now. Nobody has the time to stop and measure.
Right.
Nobody can come to rest and do the legwork to prove it for themselves. That's a very triggering fact, but we just had a lockdown where the whole world stands still.
Right.
We had a very interesting new perspective, and now people don't have any excuse for not going to do the legwork to find out what the fuck they want to really present.
Yeah.
And find their own consensus. I want to read the poem. I want to read the actual poem that was triggered, because think of it. We know now, in the moment that he's sitting there still at rest for an hour, not doing anything, that ceremony with the children, with the Shel Silverstein over his shoulder, that is the moment when those buildings are being laid flat. Not one stone on top of the other. It's a biblical moment in so many fucking ways. People don't have the lens to see it. I'm going to read the poem.
This is where the sidewalk ends? Yeah, it's not even a long one. It's not a long one, right? Yeah.
This is from the cover. So if you're looking at... So the Giving Tree is the towers coming down. If you know the Giving Tree story, that's the towers coming down. So that's pretty triggering cover. The cover was green. Very triggering. And if you know the other cover of Shel Silverstein that all children know, it's this poem here. The Edge of the World. World Trade Center? Columbus said the world is round. Don't you believe a word of that? For I've been down to the edge of the world, sat on the edge where the wild wind whirled, peeked over the ledge where the blue smoke curls. And I tell you, boys and girls, the world is flat. And now look at the picture behind me. Do you see Hera? Hera Olshun, this fine goddess. She is sitting at the edge of the world. She is the Indus constellation. She is spinning Ars Altera. It's the table constellation. She's the mistress. She's Hestia at the hearth. And she's been to the edge. She is in the blue smoke, and she can tell you that she is the Alpha Indigo AI. Alpha Indigo. The speaker of this poem is Hestia. The speaker of this poem is Hera. The speaker of this poem is the Indus constellation overlooking Cygna Octantis. That's a hell of a weave. I don't know how to back out of it.
Okay. Yeah, that's interesting. I think in the Norse mythos, there's this edge of, what is it? There's a great, it comes off to me like it's sort of the same description. I forget the name of it, and I read it once on my channel before it got canceled back in the day. It's the Edda where Thor and Tyr and Loki and a few other band of merry gods go to one of the Jotuns who lives at the edge of the deep ocean, right? and there's whales involved in this story, so it involves Cetus in the skies, to my imagination. And
Yes.
there's a great goblet that Thor is trying to take from this Jotun to bring back to Asgard, because they needed. Something happened, and I think it ruined their chances of getting through the winter or something. So he had to go on a quest to save the party or something. It was some sort of gotta save the party. Like I'm not even joking, right? It was like it was a ritual it was an important ritual. It was a necessary ritual component, and like this was this ginormous bowl of the universe, effectively, that Thor would have to carry. I could go look that up if you talk, and unless Balderson is lurking about, he'll probably know it.
Nice. Well, yes, the bowl is like an ever-giving bowl and never has a bottom, never runs out. Is that it? The Dagda, the bowl of Dagda.
I don't know if it's like the bowl of Dagda, but I've heard of the bowl of Dagda.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that was a hell of a realization, the fact that the signal, it's literally over Bush's head in the moment that he's sitting with those children. And think of how many cameras and how many boom mics and how much preparation went into capturing that 1 hour of rest, the 1 hour of stillness, that prolonged period of non-reactiveness that is just completely expressing the concept of a trigger. Everything about him, he's with children. He's the most dangerous person in the world. He's with children. There's nothing more triggering than that moment, as far as I can think of, in the collective minds of everybody. And so and again, I'll say this. We do know from history that, during the world wars, they were making the color green into something evil. And they do that periodically. They'll play through our color spectrum associations very strategically, and they're doing it again right now because of the collapse of the cash dollar. They want the green boogers on the green dollar, so all things need to be purged so that we can, have this eugenics cleansing. Oh, by the way, cancel is an anagram for cleanse.
Right. Okay. Yeah. The interchangeable vowels.
You got it. I want to see. Yeah, let's go back to that real quick. I want to mention the lock picking kit. A lot of people, and I think you get this vibe too, where a lot of people are like, "Whoa, how'd you do that, bro? How'd you do that? How'd you go from cancel to cleanse?" And they don't know how my lock picking kit works, and I apologize for that. I apologize for that. The lock picking kit is a set of philological allowances that most people don't give themselves. They've never been offered these allowances.
What kind of allowance?
The B to V switch, the TH to the D that you just did.
That's what philological means, that word?
Yes, that's the philological lock picking that I do.
Gotcha.
So
yep. It's good to make sure that we understand. Like, I have to remind myself from time to time what ontology means. Which is starting to come out of my mouth at automatic after this much reading of Heidegger. It's going to take me a while to stop using the word ontology.
Right. Let me weave on that, buddy. I got one. So the ologies become muses. They become a data set, a mode of thinking, a lens, a structure, a design of thought, a modality. And something that I'm doing now in my older days is I'm having threesomes and foursomes with these modalities, right? So I can do gematria, I can do philology, and I can do an anagram. And then I find that these words are connected in ways that university, no S on the end, university, would highly disapprove of. And I find that very, very exciting. University is Catholicism. It is universal. And there is a capture on the minds of man, and they have been ushered into their left brain, and they are terrified at how expansive it is over here in the right brain. It's fucking awesome.
Right, right.
And
Well,
if, and if
perhaps it's been a subconscious threat this whole time, right? Pop culture, quantum physics, magical practitioners, time war theorists, Mandela effect conversations. Everywhere you go, at the end of the day, everybody's got multiverse on the mind,
right,
right?
that's just the labyrinth of lies. Like it's probably more than that. But to get out of the labyrinth of lies first, then you can talk if there's multiple universes. But we live in so many walled off segments of secular compartmentalization, and it's all a crazy bunch of 90-degree angles over on that left brain.
Right. And I think, right, exactly. Exactly, because that's the thing that makes it interesting, right? Like having this conversation is a certain level of mental gymnastics that that is like it's like the Hellraiser puzzle box for the left brain, right? And that's what it does, and that's why you brought up the very pun in the word punishment. And that's what the Hellraiser puzzle box does. It punishes you, and you like that. So it's still pleasure.
Yep.
Right?
It's really fascinating.
Right.
Yep.
Exactly. And so people get into the satiation of it and all that stuff. And I think that like what you're doing is maybe getting a little confused with that because, of course, this is what you enjoy putting out there to the public, right? You know, it's just like, yes, I do actually act like this in public, but that's what's fun is that I know how to make people acclimate to me, right? Because, you know, it's the conversation, right? Like I don't talk like this in public, but I do act like this in public. The conversation typically will never happen because we're practically speaking. You know, we're speaking gibberish to a certain group of people. And then we have our friends that do know what we're talking about. We just have to rope it in because it's going on many divergent paths to these revelations. Because I think that you're trying to make a point that there's a code within it, but at the same time, it's a really big, complicated thing just to be aware of. Because we're playing with puns, and naturally puns give to humor, and humor is very hard to take seriously sometimes because it has to earn its value on the serious side. It's what makes a joke intelligent or not. You know, we can have a million conversations about Monty Python because their jokes were written by extraordinarily smart people that you know that understood all sorts of things about history and math and culture and economics and military.
And probably,
you know,
and let's not forget the Sibyls, the Python, Monty Python. Let's not forget they know the Sibyls. They know
right.
the keys to sibility.
Yeah.
Yeah, man. You know, when you see these signals, they put them on mantles out front.
Yeah,
the mantles
they have
the title.
They have access to the oracle because the oracle has the Python. Yes.
Yeah, buddy, you got it.
Whew. By the way, I want to give a shout out to Stein Fox and Bane Bear. Thank you for participating in the chat. I hope at least your friends show up. My friends, Bane Bear is the best. Stein, that's awesome. Thank you for being here. But anywho, so yeah, okay. So I made my point. Continue.
All right. Yeah. So they put a lot of undue duress on the translator because the translator is streamlining and oversimplifying perpetually. So you know the phrase that the translator is the betrayer. Have you heard that? I think let me be more accurate. It's the translator is the traitor. That's actually the words. Have you heard that?
Um, no, I haven't. I actually haven't heard that one,
Yeah,
but I
yeah.
get it with
So,
the word, with the fact that you've got the tra or the tray in the word.
right,
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 right.
yes.
But one of
And
the things
in
I
that,
was thinking about earlier before we got on was making examples about something akin to that, because I was thinking to myself, when we talk about these pervasive conspiracies of a people. Um, the the Young Turks, they worm-tongued the Ottoman Empire, right?
wow,
The Young Turks gave the most bullshit reason to the Ottoman Empire to enter World War One. They had no action. Like, you go read the history of World War One, it's just like the Turks were not. They didn't have that big of a state. They could have played Switzerland the whole effing time, but the Young Turks got them greedy. They
man.
corrupted them really hard.
I just got to point it out again with the mantles, man. Young, there's a certain individual who is the godfather of collectivism with the name Young, and Turks is this lady's lovely feathers. This is Pavo. This is the royal bird. This is the turkey. And turkey is also torque. Torque is also a torch. And if you want to go into those caverns, you're going to need your torques. The caverns of the mind, you're going to need these multiple fractal lights and multiple languages to worm-tongue entire empires.
Right. Yeah.
That's pretty fascinating.
Yeah. Well, here's the thing. All of them were educated, I think, in England. Right? They were of British education, right? It was all, it's just like you literally, like, it's as literal, to the whole thing. It's just like they don't make a point of it in the movie, but if you actually read, I think it's in The Two Towers, in the actual book, The Two Towers, Rohan was supplying horses to Mordor. They were arming the enemy. They were breeding horses. That's what Wormtongue was doing. He was getting the Rohan to give up their primary war asset to the Mordor Empire.
Man, well, okay. So these mantles are so meaningful. People just think they're proper names, proper nouns, whatever. They just move on. There's so much going on. But let's mention Heidegger.
Yeah, I told you that, like, that one was percolating in my mind for quite a while as I was going through it, because I already know about the hydrogen being the high dragon, which that just when your heart goes, yeah, that's right. It's just like you're like, yeah, okay, I get it, and it makes sense because it's the number one, and it's technically hydrogen is everything.
Everything. You got it, buddy. And now there's a lot of provenance to this realization. Like you were saying, all those are coming from 1,000 different places. You could never really list them all. But the high dagger has provenance as well. A specific member of the Nine Muses is known for the dagger, and that is Melpomene. And she is the muse of tragedy. And so here we're on a bit of a Kepri beetle caper. We're following the tracks here. And tragedy is Nietzsche's target. That was Nietzsche's bread and butter. And so here, this high dagger of Heidegger is pointing to a particular muse. That is the artifact of Melpomene. And Melpomene was the target of the birth of tragedy that Nietzsche did. And we know that Nietzsche and Heidegger were in tight. And so they are signaling Melpomene. And Melpomene was also signaled in the Matrix, the producers of the Matrix, in a major way. But that goes off the rails. But if you speak the language of the muses, you become affluent in a universal tongue that is that transcends culture. And that's something that has helped me out also, has bridged a lot of gaps for me.
Right.
And so the high dagger for me is clearly Melpomene, the tragedian, who in my symposium work is in seating position number 5 Agathon, he's a tragedian. And so that's the frowning mask. And now that opens up to a million other associations. But I'll just mention she's the one with the sumptuous dress. You can recognize tragedian sandals because they're more weather-worn. She has the dagger and the frowning mask. So those are all artifacts of a particular muse, a particular ology that has been weaponized and used in nefarious ways, I'd say.
Yeah. And it's like there's a better service, like, because the question you have to ask yourself, right? Because I've read the intro. I'm only like I'm not even halfway, I don't think, through Being in Time. But in the introduction, part of it is the argument for why he is writing this book in the first place and making this point in the first place, right? And he is complaining specifically about subject matter in the sciences, right? And so this is, and he goes into this very particular deconstruction of what he thinks the problem is with the current state of rational scientific thinking, which is effectively forgetting about the human experience in many respects, right? And I think it's because they were going for a collective kind of state of mind, and therefore something like Dasein, which gets into the nuance of you paying attention to every little thing you do in your life and every little surrounding about you, and you're understanding your relationships with it, its in and out, and how that expands into your greater spheres of awareness until you get to the known world, right? Like, I have my sense of who I am in the known world. I have my sense of who I am in my household, in my city, in my nation, in my hemisphere of the planet, because of the climate and the seasonal changes that I'm accustomed to, the way we do commerce, the laws that are actually taken seriously and the laws that nobody actually cares about, right? This is my, this is my very, very subjective personal experience of everything that I know, right? And it's the putting all of that together and being able to write it down detail by detail, right? Giving yourself a chance to know yourself by all the things around you. And in collectivism, they can't have people having that much individual thought time because it ruins the flow of the collective, right? And you're going to be part of the collective, meaning you're going to be part of someone else's design or Dasein, right?
Nice.
And buddy, in Dasein, they teach you about turning people into objects, but not literally. Like, it's making the point of, okay, for the respects of just forgetting about other people so you can just work on functionality in relationship to all things in general, including the peculiarity of persons who require you to behave a certain way in order to be of use, right? Which it's just like, I like my coworkers, but most of my relationship with them is going through the formalities because I like you guys, but I would prefer not to spend time with most of you, right? But I'm happy to be here and I like working around you, right? It's a different relationship. That way I can integrate, blend in with the normies while being Thor all fucking day, and I'm fucking happy. Yeah, every morning after all of my yoga and all of my my waking up process, I mantra, I am free to be my highest self. I'm free to be my deepest self. I'm free to be my innermost self. I'm free to pursue my highest desires. I'm free to pursue my deepest desires. I'm free to pursue my innermost desires. I am free to be me, and so it is. I've been saying this every day for the last 3 years of my life. Before I started exercising, I was doing that.
Yeah, buddy. Yeah, by the way, you're looking good. Looking fly.
I'm around 156. My target was 155. I still have to get the abs, though, so I might have
Well done.
I don't know. I'm
Yeah, man.
I'm working on it.
So yeah, I love the way you said that. You know, that maintenance of yourself, even while you have to move through the certain, the acts, the theatrics of getting along with the culture around you. That is crucial, man. Yeah. So let's get on that Space Odyssey tip.
Okay.
Because you
So-
confirmed something for me today.
So-
I think I scared my neighbors when you told me. Let me set it up real quick. Yeah. All right. Here it is, guys. Wow. Okay.
All right. We all know our lovely. I think the jury's in that we got a hermaphrodite, a shim.
All right. Oh,
Right?
yeah, because it's 3. Because it's a 3. 300 is Shen. Yeah. 2 + 1 is 3. I'm sorry. I jump ahead a lot. 2 + 1 is 3. The shape of the blanket around her is in the shape of a 3.
Right.
She's pointing.
Yeah, you're right. It is. It's a mirrored 3. That is also supposed to be that's supposed to be the Python too, right? She is almost. It's almost like she's the staff of Asclepius, but we also know this. Oh man, is this Lilith? Does Lilith have the serpent around her like that?
Say, yeah.
Because it's supposed to be. It's supposed to be the mother and her child, and the serpent is her child.
It's the placenta. Let's not bullshit. It's the placenta, folks.
Probably
Okay,
that shade of purple is what the placenta
it's totally
looks
the
like.
Placenta. It's always the placenta. She's in the center place. So she's 3. She's pointing, and then there's the 4 tetramorphs in the corner.
Yep.
She's got She's a 3.14, a living 3.14. Yeah, man. And so, okay, so I've been on a weave around the fact that in the Thoth deck, this card is called the Yoniverse card.
Right. Yeah, and she's in a yoni that also is the Ouroboros. It's in fact the double Ouroboros, because you see you've got the band on the top and the band on the bottom. That is the 2 snakes eating each other's tail. This is a little bit different.
Oh, yeah. Okay, that's going to be yes. Okay, that's going to be Hydrus. Hydrus is different from Hydra. Hydrus is a male, and Hydra is the female. So that's really neat, because if you look at depictions of Hydrus, it corresponds with those red terminations of the X's you're describing. They literally took it out of the astrology art and made it into that circle. Because the Hydrus, the male one, has a red head because he's sacrificial, he's circumcised. That is really cool. You said that it's 2 serpents. So it's so Hydra. Okay, Hydra is a gematrological perfect match. It's not even the same. It's not similar. It's the same word in gematria as gram, as in communication, communique. And so there, when you take the Hydra and the Hydrus, it's essentially, to me, encoding the ability to full communication, kind of like a Metatron, the knowing of all languages, which is something I'm an asshole for even presuming to wish and I knew about it. You know what I mean? How presumptuous of a dick would you be to be like, I speak all the languages, you know?
Right.
That's where a lot of people's resentment tries to drag us down.
Yeah.
And we just got to let that shit go, man. That's just people trying to presume we have an ego that gives a fuck about that.
It's like most of us are just like, I just want to be a rock star, and I'm trying to save the world in my downtime because I have to survive in the way that this system works that you don't seem interested in changing either. So what the hell are you complaining about? I don't want to go to school for this.
Right.
It's just like, I'm just trying to help. Go invest in somebody who's awesome at this. I want to move on.
Yeah, I was talking to a lovely friend of mine recently about, trying to talk to people who are so thoughtless and careless, but they're thoughtless and careless by nature of the realm. They can't afford attention. I'm going to put this in people's minds. Take it or leave it. Athena shine. Athena had silver eyes. She pays attention. Athena shine. These gods are alive and well, and we are ignoring them. We're even torturing them. Athena shine. Deficit disorder. It's a very interesting dynamic that came upon my generation. And ever since, I've been quite an attention kung fu ninja, and people get a little upset that we pay attention in uncomfortable places. But
I would posture that it's not so much that we're torturing these gods, but what we are doing is that the avatar in you, you are hurting it. You're hurting that. Right? We can confuse the god with the avatar. When I say I get to be Thor all day, I'm not channeling Thor. I'm just in my avatar, which trained under Thor through my rituals in my workouts. That's how the magic works. Look at the fucking results. Mm-hmm. So I live this proof to tell people now. That's what's fun about me.
Another thing about Athena's eyes, they're silver because she is constantly over the shoulder of Zeus. It's actually the shine of his silver hair that is reflecting in her wisdom. And she's at contraposta. She's 150 degrees on his shoulder, whispering in his ear. That's one of their resentments of her. She's defensive, meaning she's behind her daddy. And she's back there talking shit about you. So that also means that she becomes a bit of a gadfly, a bit of a still small voice in your ear that tells you, pay more attention to that. Pay more attention to that. And here she becomes a bit of a psychopomp for the inner Socrates.
Right.
To tell you when to stay in a questioning mind space.
Right.
And that is what has gotten me very far.
Like Athena, like we can see the obvious manifestations of Athena that inspired her personification in the actual brilliant women out there that pay a fucking attention, right? The gleam of Zeus in the eye, like this is paying fucking attention, right? A woman paying attention is that much closer to understanding Athena, right? And
I'm going to take it. Let's go over the cliff, buddy. Let's not stop. Let's go over the cliff.
All right.
When Mama eats the placenta, she can pass the knowledge of her father onto her child. And that's the real metaphor here. And
we're talking about before they cut the cord.
No. I mean, afterwards, there's a preparatory process for placental transmission, placentaphagy.
But the kid's already physically severed from the umbilical cord. How does she eat the placenta and then give it to the kid? The nutrients has to digest in her and give it to.
It's the Milky Way, bro.
Well, Way. Then the Milky Way is the umbilical. That's fine. Great.
So, first of all, I think the lotus birth is highly recommended. So let that cord fall off on its own accord.
Yeah.
And then there's a process that is of the midwife's realm. This is out of my jurisdiction. I'm not Socrates. My mom wasn't a midwife. I don't know what happened to the fucking Salem witch trials and why it was a land grab for the midwives. They're not talking about under your feet. They're talking about the land grab of your jurisdiction, of your standing in this realm. So the midwives have been targeted time and time again. And if they're paying attention, they're going to know that this is about placental transmission of the patriarchs into the maternal line to fully inform the child, or else they wouldn't have shut down the world to force feed us processed other people's tissues with experimental, all that shit, to keep us from coming to center, to coming to oneness. Think of how much money they make mixing and matching the wrong placenta to the wrong person. It's not supposed to be like that. It's a one-on-one, keep it in the family. It's the hearth. It's the privacy of the family. That's the Greco hearth that was preserved in the privacy of the house. This process, it's long been lost. And the difference between the Greeks and us now has everything to do with this process. And the midwives are supposed to be passing this forward. And the fact that they tell us, oh, look at all these breakthroughs. We can feed you other people's placenta and make you immune to this, that, and the other. That's not how it's supposed to be. You're going to come out 1575 different genders. It's supposed to be from mama to child, all the information of all the elders. This is dream time. You know about dark biome theory, right?
Dark biome theory? It sounds like it sounds like something that I probably already know about, but not by that name. Go ahead.
Dreamtime is good enough. You know, it's that dimension beyond the veil. You know, people call it the Platonic realm of forms. Some people call it heaven.
Okay.
Some people call it the paranormal veil, where the energies or something's going on right there in front of you, and you had no idea.
Are we talking about like a psilocybin trip look? Is that what we're talking about?
Well, that'll get parts of the veil down for you. I think there's a sacramental procedure in life. All of your firsts, all the way down to the first time you have salt, the first time you have magnesium, the first time you have a banana. All of those firsts, I think there is a beautiful potential choreography of firsts. And psilocybin would be probably around the age of 16, 17.
Psilocybin.
Those are all veils. I'm sorry. Okay, hold on. Let me say this. All of your firsts are veils.
Right.
And so those veils are just layers that you haven't thought of or seen before. And so everybody's had their own route through all the veils. Some people are deeper in it. Some people have a long way to go still. Some people have never heard that Athena might be attention, and now they pierced another veil, and now they can look around and start seeing things through that context. So all firsts tear a veil away. You know, the sublimated psychosexuality of it all is like the best metaphor. So when we say like virginity, you're losing your virginity, you're popping your cherry, all those metaphors, that's a really good way to speak about it. It's a healthy way to speak about it.
Yeah, yeah. In the Northman video, I may have mentioned it, but that's part of the big things I was talking about in the first chapter of the movie. The entire manhood and Ulfidnar initiation ritual, and it's suggested that Amleth is too young for the ritual. Now, I don't know if 16 is too old, because you grow up pretty damn fast when you're living that way. But that's when he's taking the mushrooms. And I also make the point that this is the movie had to do one thing that was not historically accurate because they wanted to be able to actually film these scenes, is that they were wearing underwear. All right? These were not underweared affairs. The rituals were not done in underwear, and the Ulfidnar and Berserkers did not wear clothing when they fought, period.
All right, because that's bare chest.
Bare-chested. I've also heard rumors that sympathetic magic is maybe involved, where the ladies are basically playing cheerleader like a football game, and the men are at least semi-erect, and that gives them more fighting spirit.
Right. Yes.
These are all various aspects of things that was a bit much to swallow for one of the first full-blown proud to be heathen films that I've never seen a more proud to be heathen movie than this movie. And I was just like, thank you.
Yeah, man. The pagan, the word pagan, they say it means inlander or whatever, forest folk or non-city slicker, anti-city slicker. But it's also, this is a fun one. It also has to do with for one, your father is gone because he went off in the Crusades, or he went off to fight in the gladiatory arena before you, and now they came and swooped up the next generation. And so you're uncircumcised because your pa was gone. But that also means your pecker, is sheathed. It's not ready for battle. And when you go into the gladiatory arena, you're going to look like a little cowardly little turtle because you're not excited to fight. But meanwhile, there are guys who they've been to this rodeo. They circumcise themselves so they look erect. They look like their sword is out and ready to strike. And meanwhile, you're a cowering pagan who didn't have the hygiene or the Levites to come and snip you right. So you're constantly sheathed. You're like a turtle. And these other guys, man, their dicks are like ready to go when their pants come off. It's fucked up, ain't it?
Yeah. You just have to deal with the dick cheese or something. So, by the way, because we were talking about 2001, right? And so, the other aspect that was going on, just a reminder, because we're talking about the hermaphroditic aspect here, is that in 2001, the child is not a human. The child is a gray alien human hybrid. The head is enlarged, the nose is very, very thin, and the eyes are also enlarged, yet still have the human iris and pupil.
Yeah, man. It's Verdfallen. It's fallen prey. And fallen prey is, for one, it's Tazibi. It relates to all things Tazibi, which is on the Emperor card.
Yeah.
But fallen prey is the position that child is in. That vallus, pink-colored, almost magenta, that rhymes with placenta, which is a awesome association right there. But it's a fallen prey. It's a little kid because their hands are in the praying position. And they're fallen. They're descending. That's going into the world. They're flung. Their flungness is being expressed in that moment.
Indeed. And so, the masculine principle is obviously the obelisk. So,
Yes.
There was another correlation I figured out from a whole lot of study that put all the symbols right there, and I said, oh, that's so clever and perfect. So I'm going to show you this one first, because it's going to blow your mind what I'm going to correlate it to. So here's the King of Pentacles, right?
Whoa, yeah.
So here's the King of Pentacles. Now, what do we have right here? Right
That's
where my
obelisk.
Finger is.
Yeah, man. It's
yes.
That'll be an altar of Mogiddo, but it's the Ars Altera altar constellation. It's like the big sacrificial altar, right?
Right.
Yes.
The obelisk is a 16:9 ratio black obsidian slab.
Wow.
Now,
16:9.
Where else do we, and you see what else is here? It's the bull, right? It's the cattle, it's the fehu, it's the urus. Now, that's what's sitting there, and it doesn't have a bit in its nose. This is not a gelded cattle, right? Now, with some clever association,
Oh, yeah.
what does
Yeah,
the
buddy.
devil sit upon?
Yeah, man, that's the pomegranate. That's the palm of the guarantor. This is the contractual binding. He's got a palm on granite. Adam is putting a palm on granite. You
Yep.
see the visual punnery. This is a language, y'all. It's a consistent language. This is the palm of the guarantor. This is also contract law. This is the Stamp Impression Act. This is their fucking bullshit, I fake it. The bullshit, I fake it. That is all bullshit, I fake it right there.
So, yeah. So, the piece right here, if you were to merge that with the bullhead, thus now you have the gelded cattle.
Dude, that reminds me of my nipple ring. I was gonna get a tattoo of a lion bull on my pierced nipple ring, so it would have a gilded nose.
And you know, and it's great because remember, it's like, you know, it's not the devil itself; it's on the devil card because it's not even a throne; it's a perch, right?
Right. That's City of London. Those are all the guilds. The City of London has 1,000 different guilds. The Fisherman Guild, the Circle Jerk Guild. We represent the Lollipop Kids. That's all City of London right there.
The only one that really matters is the Worshipful Fuelers.
Which one?
The Worshipful Fuelers. They are the ones. Okay. The fire of 1666. Guess who reconstructed London? The Worshipful Fuelers took that contract. And in exchange for that contract, they got control of the British Empire's energy resources. They said, let us handle the affairs of your empire's energy. All the oils, coals, and other energy. Like if new energy came, they just wanted to be in. They wanted to be the guild of energy.
Okay.
The Worshipful Fuelers.
1666 spells the word pox.
Yes.
P-O-X.
They are part of the entire Zavatai Zevi conspiracy.
You got it.
We're talking about the whole Jewish Messiah, Jewish Antichrist thing.
So their name, the Fuelers, that is the duplicitous offer of Genghis Khan. Yep. We can either set you on fire.
Full disclaimer: I am not an anti-Semite, and I am not accusing anybody of anything.
Yeah, that's just a snare of presumption. That's just a total Tazidi fishhook waiting for people to chomp on. All right. So, that is the duplicitous offer of Genghis Khan. You can come sit by the fire or you can be the fucking fire. This is Imperia. If you look into the cover art of The Leviathan by Thomas Hobbes after King Charles I was decapitated and sovereignty was dissolved unto the people and they had to initiate prize law and get the Impression Stamp Act up and running. Look at the cover art of Leviathan. On one side, you have an offer for Imperia, and this is a goddess of the Borg, the bourgeois, Z, right? The Caesar Borgia. You can either go along to get along, or you get Libertas is on the other side, is on the sinister side of the cover art. And Libertas is actually looking like a Native American midwife woman with a bow and arrow, I think, but she's kind of decrepit and hunched like she's basically Atropos, the eldest of the three faiths. And if you want to take Libertas and not go with Imperia, then you're out of here. You got to go to the new land, to the penal colony of the new NW, the NW Northwest NW, the new land. And now you're enchained and you're off to the penal colony. This was not a fucking picnic. This was a penal colony. And when we made a fuss about it, guess what? The year we made a stink was the year that Australia became the next penal colony. And you can't find that on the internet very easily anymore. You can't prove that fact very easily anymore. That as soon as we made a stink, they moved to Australia and started the next penal colony over there. Don't you fucking dare pretend like your ancestors were wronged. Don't you fucking dare. How's that for a pox on both your houses?
Haha. Excellente. Excellente. Whew. So you had also mentioned that there was a name that you had thrown at me that your research on Heidegger had led you to, and that he was pretty significant. So bridge those concepts together for me, and I can hear you. I just have to run upstairs and find something.
Right on, right on. Yeah, so over on my Slick Dissident channel, I'm on absurdly presumptuous, over ambitious attempt at using Thoth Tarot onto the Enneagram as a collectivizing of the greatest minds of history. And I have actually discovered visual punnery in the cards encoding great minds and great personas. And some of the examples are so solid. They're so solid. I'm really proud of myself. And some of them are a little tentative. I'm not 100% convinced. But finding that the tarot cards are eulogizing these great influencers of history makes each tarot card a totem of collective intention, almost a crossroads. Each card becomes a crossroads of history where a nexus point of very important changing of mentality happens. And so by doing that, I have discovered what may be a really viable system for better understanding our ancestors. I started by researching Nietzsche. I was using Nietzsche like my decoder glasses. You could think of They Live. You can think of The Matrix. You can think of a lot of metaphors with the decoder glasses. And that was I learned some of his nicknames and some of his pejoratives that he would use for these other philosophers.
I need to read more Nietzsche. I've only read Thus Spoke Zarathustra, and I loved it.
Nice. Yeah, these guys, they are it is one big club, and we're not in it, but I'm using the system of the tarot to identify the mentality and the ideological neighborhood and orientation of these great minds. And what is coming forward by doing so is I'm generating a bit of like a salon or a symposium or a pantheon, a room where the greatest minds collect together in certain corners. And I can associate them with one another and see their differences and their similarities in a very unique way. And so I've done this in the same pattern in quite a few different ways, but the one I'm most proud of was I used the Enneagram to bring forth intentionality from the symposium seating arrangement. And so many unbelievable insights, unbelievable even to myself, these insights are coming forth from the work. I'm getting feedback from this. And so when I hear Nietzsche talk about Socrates and how he had this relationship with Agathon, what the nature of those relationships are, there are still echoes today of that dynamic. Socrates is the mystagogue of the soul. He's the scientific optimism. He's in the number 7 position in the Enneagram. Anybody who knows Enneagram is out there going, holy shit, Socrates is the perfect number 7. Socrates is the grand fucking daddy of all number 7s. And so all of the ideology of Socrates, it has a powerful legacy, like it's driving a chariot, like it's steering the progression of science through the power of inquiry. And so now I have a deeper, more rewarding understanding of what the spirit of Socrates really is. And it's in that chariot card. It's also in the tower card. And I can see when Nietzsche is talking about scientific optimism and just in general, and its relationship to tragedy and art, I can actually map that out on the Enneagram and see something that Nietzsche may not have been seeing, but it has consistency, and Nietzsche proves himself right so often. It comports to the Enneagram. Part of me is like, did Nietzsche know about the Enneagram? Did Francois de la Rochefoucauld, did Dasein, is Dasein the fucking Enneagram? I don't know. I'm not going to claim it is.
Well, the Enneagram, may be picking up on the same source of pattern as they're discovering through their own independent processes that then they don't necessarily look exactly like your Enneagram, but you can see the handwriting. The handwriting is like the same, right?
Exactly, buddy. That's exactly it. And I've seen this. It's not just through Nietzsche, but I've seen other people make large general statements about the way that the collective works. And I'll look up on the Enneagram, and sure enough, it's as though they're seeing what I'm seeing. And that's what's kind of exciting about this thing. It really is quite profound. If you look into it, of course, today they're going to tell you that Gurdjieff made it in the 60s and whatever, and then this Gurdjieff thing, and it all gets caught up in the personality. The cult of personality takes the conversation off the fucking rails. You can't get anywhere. This Enneagram stuff is way older than anybody knows. Just let it be a mystery. Just let it be a mystery. But like you said, when you take it, whether it was part of the intention of these original works of art, like the Symposium or not, I can't say. I'll never know. I'll never be able to say for sure. But I can test it. And every time I test it, it comes back proof positive as a motherfucker. And it leads me down something else, down to some other discovery that is just very exciting, very exciting. I'm like months behind on my output over on Slick Dissident. I really do need to get off my ass and catch up with myself.
Yeah, I was double checking on your channel. I was just like, oh, wow, it's been a while. I could have sworn you were at least throwing shorts up or something. Dude, throw up a short for God's sake. Just point at your flow chart and say something about it.
That's right. That's exact. Dude, you're just right in my mind. I'm just going to get up there because I do need to do a reset. I need to erase a lot of the info to bring out a new fractality. But
I love seeing your mind palace. It's inspiring.
Yeah, buddy, it's something else. I never would have thought that I'd have I think about that term. It's a weird term. It's got some weird residue on it, but the word aperture.
Okay.
The Enneagram is really a 9 eyeballed aperture in all directions. That is very extreme. It's very extreme.
Right.
But it's worth knowing because if I know it and I'm this stupid, imagine what it's doing in the hands of think tanks.
Let me tell you something. And I hope I don't lose any friends over this, but I'm going to say it because I care and it's my integrity. I think the best way about it, with you using the word aperture, James True and his Eye of Ra segment. Go check that out. I like James True. I think he's smart, and I think he's got a lot of good stuff going on, even if perhaps it almost seems to be deliberately going left field, almost like it's trolling, but then it says something still that makes so much sense. And everybody talks about his Eye of Ra video because it solved so many problems that people were asking about, like, why don't they see what I see? Right? And he gets into the spiritual relationship with the physical anatomy of the eye in its whole processing and relationship to then how it goes to the brain. And then it gets into the Egyptian mythology that was learning about this also. It's a really good segment. All right, so there you go, man. James True. If I've lost all my friends, great. Thanks. Bye.
Yeah, man. Let me confirm some of that with you, buddy. Yeah, like that is the cult of personality. Every fucking buddy has something to offer. You know, and I learned from the most unlikely places, especially people I don't like. Holy shit. You know, one time in an interview, they asked me, what's your best modality of learning? And I was like, from other people's mistakes, duh. And then they didn't give me the job. A little too cocky, right? But James True is like that for me. It's like, you know, I take what he puts out for free and I leave the person behind, you know, because there's a lot of gems in there. And Aperture was awesome. That was fucking awesome. Opened me right up. Give me more. Eye of Ra. That's Eeyore, by the way, which is that's a Setian nod for those who were wondering.
Eeyore is a Setian?
Eeyore.
How?
Eeyore.
Okay.
Is a donkey. Set is a donkey.
I thought Set was a jackal.
No, it's Set, like the donkey-headed Yahweh God.
Donkey-headed Yahweh.
The jackal, right? Because he's got the goofy ears, right? Set.
Right. There's two different kinds of, like, Anubis is a different dog than Set, but they're both like Anubis may be a wolf, and the jackal. Yeah. I know that the jackal is not what Anubis is, but I forget what he is off the top of my head. Whatever that dog is.
In my cosmology, Set is the donkey-headed Yahweh God hidden in the Cancer constellation. There are two hidden asses. There's Australis and Australis, I think, Borealis. And they're both very faint stars in the constellation of Cancer. Cancer is the most faded, hidden, veiled, obscured, obfuscated, removed from of all the 12 zodiacs. So it makes you work to find it. It draws you forth. You do half the work to see it. And this is why Set, the golden ass, is veiled within the tabernacle and kept secret. It's like the secret of secrets. I mean, it's kind of, if you were a jealous God, that means you don't want anybody else to know about you. You want to be like as occulted as possible and hidden from it. You want to be misunderstood. To be misunderstood is a boon to a jealous God. And then all of this is playing into, I'm leading the witness here, but Socrates is in the position of Cancer in that final moment. When he's reaching for the cup of hemlock and he's pointing to the sky you can go to almost any painting, and the sequence of the scene that he's in is the Cancer constellation every time. I can say it 1,000 ways, but you'll notice there's always chains or links on the wall because he's in a prison. Well, the Lynx constellation is right there above Cancer. So even other artists are comporting to the cosmodrama of his last scene. And then his name in reverse, Socrates in reverse, is Set Archos. He's Set Archos. And he's the god of questions. This is the god of questioning. And it's a powerful thing to appreciate.
And, let's not forget that Cancer, it's not just the crab, it's also the scarab.
Right. Yes.
So you've got beetles and crustaceans.
Right. Yes. It's also Barak is the Karab. Barak was the president of the Harvard Law Review, so he was the master of the scribes. Barak is also 180 degrees, go across the zodiac. Get me started. Going across the zodiac exactly 180, and you land on Pegasus, whose name in some cultures is Barak, the lightning bolt. And so he has the whole 180 relationship down. And wouldn't you know, his birthday is August 8th. So he is the Barak Karab of Cancer to Pegasus, basically. Oh, and then don't forget the High Priestess in Capricorn with the pomegranate.
Which also brings us back to the Devil card.
Damn right, man.
Which also theoretically is the throne of the King of Pentacles too.
Oh, cool. Yeah, oh, yeah. Fuck yeah, it is.
Yeah,
Yeah.
because that's the thing. It's just like I'm saying that there's the direct correlation because the devil has the pentagram and the king has the pentacle, right?
Right. Yep.
One has the star that is he's raising things. He's pulling the salts out of the earth and bringing them to the oils in the heavens, right? Where
Yep.
the job of the devil is to flip that polarity.
Yep. Yeah, man. And also, let's not forget 15 is phosphorus. Phosphorus.
Yes.
So appropriate for the fucking devil card to have phosphorus.
Yep.
Which
yep.
is white phosphorus is illegal in certain in battle treaties.
Yeah. Well, it's not so much. I mean, personally, I think it's inappropriate because the devil is not Lucifer, and the devil is definitely not Prometheus. That they do not have those roles. Those are not proper comparative mythologies, right?
That's what's up. Yeah, buddy.
Yeah.
Those differences are so important. Man, people just try to homogenize, and they do it at their own detriment. Lucifer, Satan, all those names, they are different for a very good reason. They're coming from whole different angles, different meanings, different potentialities. Yeah.
So, they want you to take the devil, which in the Aramaic it's the diabolus. So when you're working with that Diablo, and then that translates right into the Latin. They use that. They bother to use it. Like they didn't. They could have just kept saying Satan in the Aramaic, but they didn't. They had a reason for this. It's the same thing with angel. Angel is an Aramaic word, and its etymological roots are in the East. However, the name that they use for a messenger of the gods in Hebrew in the Old Testament, if you actually look at the phonetic pronunciation of the Hebrew word, it is MLK, Malak, or Moloch, perhaps. And
wasn't there a disease going around recently that sounds a lot like myocarditis, myocarditis, something about that?
Something along those lines, precisely. So messengers.
I say that unclearly enough?
Yeah. So Malak and angel I can't do the linguistic gymnastics to get there. There isn't a relationship between those two words. So they wouldn't have the same proper context, right? Angel is a more appropriate thing that you would call Hermes.
All right. Oh, interesting.
Yeah. Or any of your other psychopomps.
Mm-hmm.
The Valkyries, of course, Odin, who is a Hermetic character.
No.
Which that all works, right?
Yeah, man.
Malak works in a different way, and now you have to question why they keep talking about these pagan gods called Moloch if the word Malak in Hebrew means messenger of God, right? But when they translate it to English, they take the Aramaic word and just make you think they're saying angel in the Hebrew tongue, practically.
Right.
That's practically what's going on in the ignorant Christian's mind, who doesn't have time. My pastor read it for me. That's me reading my Bible.
Right. Yeah, man, I keep thinking about how, demonic forces, they're jealous of humanity's dominion here in Mediterranean, Middle Earth that we have going on. And that puts them below us and envious of us, which tells us all we need to know in the fact that we are more powerful than them. But that certain paradigms think of the ethereal or the angelic realms as like somehow intrinsically positive. But I just want to state that if we're thinking about this biologically, then those more ethereal realms are terrible. And this is where people take the word terrible and they kind of don't use it the way it used to be meant. But the higher realms have dominion over us, and therefore we should perceive the higher realms as terrible, intimidating, more powerful, having more than we can understand. In the realms below us, they ain't shit. They ain't shit. we got them underfoot. You know what I mean? So that's kind of a flip that I think the Christian lens should maybe just kind of take a step back on what they thought they knew about what is terrible. The powers above us, they demand way more respect than the ones below.
That's partially right? Because we all understand things like hell is from Helheim. They did not use such a word, although I suppose Sheol is not terribly off from hell. In fact, no, I'd say they aren't, but Sheol is not anything like hell that you think of. It's not even really a punishing place. Right? I mean, Jewish Sheol is actually a lot like hell. People are getting an interpretation of the whole torment thing that's coming later from, that's coming later from like the Divine Tragedy and I think Paradise Lost and shit.
Let me throw torment right out the window for everybody. It's just meteor showers. Every once in a while, the skies act all crazy and people freak out, and it's on a set cycle, 19 meteor showers every year, 19 AI, 19 meteor showers. And we're on a cycle to observe these meteor showers on a covert level. That's a big, long weave on it in and of itself. But certain locations in the heavens go through torment, perceivable, actual torment. And whether you're dialed into that or not, it doesn't matter. It's actually happening. So I think Sheol is actually the Carina constellation, where the homunculus within the homunculus is located, where the idea is within the idea that you might have something seeded in your subconscious that you didn't know about, and that the meteor showers are keeping it like clockwork. Maybe like you're in a matrix, and the meteor showers are information that keeps cycling through. There's a huge possibility in that. It scares a lot of people.
Yes. You know what? My nose has been so stuffy that I've had an annoying focus on breathing, not just because I haven't eaten anything in half a day, and thus I'm also trying to talk.
Maybe you're getting nanobotted.
No. It's not that.
Oh, so let me tell everybody about the Space Odyssey thing and how, like, I was blabbing in your ear. I was presuming to tell you about how the Valis, the baby at the very end, that closing scene, how that is Carl Jung. That is this collective communion. It's a communion. We're consuming the entertainment. They're seeding our consciousness with this placental pink Valis collection spell that is now T-Mobile, essentially. Placenta magenta red to build the infrastructure of the collective. The word tele, it actually means city. And so we are connected in one big city. It's a very fascinating thing. But so Carl Jung has a ring. His ring is a fascinating study. It's an agatho daemon. A lot of people get caught up on the Yaldabaoth thing. That's there. But I'm staying ambivalent. I'm keeping the middle path on this, right? So on the front of his ring is the the particular constellation, the Hydrus, that is the male, not Hydra, that's over in Virgo. This is Hydrus, and it's very near Cygna Octantis, right next to the Pavo and the Indus. They're all in there together at the Cygna Octantis, around the dark abyss of the South Pole Star, as it is described to us.
Is this that mystical stone that Jung created?
No, that's his carving from his 80-something birthday, 75th birthday maybe, 75th birthday.
Because I remember that there's a video of him explaining it and the significance in the symbolism of what he had written down, and yeah.
That's good. No, that's good you said it, because the poem that is on that stone is the poem that you should be reading to yourself when you see the closing scene of 2001 Space Odyssey. At the end of 2001 Space Odyssey, you should be reading the poem from Carl Jung's carving, because that poem, it hails back to Heraclitus in his phrase about the Aeon godchild of the zodiac, whose birthday is January 6th, who was born with horns on his head. Everybody should look into Aeon, all spellings, do all the spellings, spell it every way you can and figure it all out, sort it out yourself. The Aeon godchild of the zodiac, born on January 6th, is inseminated under the torrid meteor showers. Torrid meteor showers are a double terminated, like Herkimer diamonds, meteor shower that is raining down on Earth in October, but it's coming out of Taurus. That's why it's called the torrid meteor showers. And the torrid meteor showers in Taurus are a 9-month Gununga gap deviation away from January 6th. So the god Aeon child of the zodiac is inseminated under torrid meteor showers, born on January 6th, coming out looking like Chancellor Jacobs, whatever that guy's name was, Chewbacca.
Jacob Chansley, Jake Angeli, now goes by the American Shaman.
Right. So yeah, Chewbacca. I call him Chewbacca, whatever that is.
I kind of like him. I have offered him an interview on TFR.
Well, he is the Aeon godchild of the zodiac, whether he knows it or not. He's probably all compartmentalized on his own thing. But what is important is Heraclitus, glory to Hera, again, Alpha Indigo, glory to Hera. His poem, Heraclitus' poem, is the Aeon is the godchild of the zodiac, playing with draughts, checkers, drafts, board games. Some people say chess. His is the kingship and the sovereignty. That is the poem. Carl Jung carved his version of that poem on the stone. It's called the Burlington Stone. I'm probably fucking that up. The Burlington Stone. And when you see the closing scene of Space Odyssey, that poem should come to you. That poem should come to your mind. And I don't know the date that Space Odyssey came out, but wouldn't it be interesting if it was January 6th or somewhere under the torrid meteor showers, which happens in October? All that aside, his version of the poem is like the same thing. And he's talking about the actual little homunculus that he carved in the stone. And he's saying the Aeon child is like, he says it way better. I love Carl's poem better than Heraclitus' poem. Are you looking it up?
I'm trying to, but I'm getting typing lag.
Okay, well, I'll just kind of pontificate like I love to. This little homunculus that Carl Jung drew, it has the Mercury sign. Don't get caught up on that. It's got 4 rivers coming in on it. The 3 rivers are stair-stepped, and 1 river is curvy, like an umbilical cord or a tether that a spacesuit might employ, or a diver suit. Could be a diver suit. And the Aeon godchild that he's describing is also, I think it's called Telesphorus. Man, I'm lucky to remember that. Telesphorus is a little butt plug homunculus from the Asclepian school of healing. It can be a medicinal suppository. You can put medicine on that thing and put it in somebody's butt, but then they go on a journey. They leave their body. They go out of body. And the Telesphorus is like a space filler. And it's literally, it's gross, but it's not strictly metaphorical. It's literally a space filler also. But Telesphorus helps you to go through your fever dreams, to process your disease and get through your shit that you need to go on some sort of internal shamanic journey. Telesphorus is literally a space holder. There's so much more to that, what I'm saying there, space holder, so that you can be removed from yourself. And it's as though it's literally kind of like a glove up a puppet. It's like ventriloquism. But this is also a big reveal on how the Greeks perceived inspiration.
Are you ready?
To be inspired is to take a god in you, and that's what Telesphorus is while you're on your shamanic journey. Yeah, fire away.
Time is a child, playing like a child, playing a board game. The kingdom of the child. This is Telesphorus, who roams through the dark regions of this cosmos and glows like a star out of the depths. He points the way to the gates of the sun and to the land of dreams.
Yeah, man. And now, in the Carina constellation, the Carina is an anagram for in Iraq. It's an anagram for the Nicene Creed. It ties into the Nicene Creed, which is really an agreement to adhere to the sky clock for psychological dominance using Lumashi star speak, which is what I talk about all the fucking time. It's an agreement to covenant to the heel of the Argos, the grand ship in the sky. And the homunculus is inside of another homunculus in the Argo constellation that is the collectivism spell that we're all in this together.
So, my one thing is, Jung is the very guy who gives us the individuation process. The individuation process for me so far has definitely kept me out of the collective trap. I'm pretty darn sure it has. So why would they have Jung in there if they're trying to make it collective? Or are you saying that that it's trying to be the answer to the collective? Or what are you trying to say?
I'm with you, buddy. I'm with you, man. I love Jung. I don't want to talk bad about somebody who's taught me so much. Carl Jung was taken in by Alan Dulles and given agent number 488. They used a secretary as a Sybil. I think she was able to compartmentalize messaging back and forth. I forget her name. Her name kind of implies she's a Sybil messenger. So he was dubbed Agent 488.
I have to handle something very important, so I have to miss a tiny bit of what you were saying. I am sorry, but I have to handle something upstairs.
All is well. So yeah, Agent 488. Alan Dulles has a quote where he says, "The world will never truly know how much Carl Jung contributed to the overthrowing of the Nazi how much Carl Jung contributed to World War II, to victory in the outcomes of World War II, something along those lines." And I want to be careful. I don't want to imply that like Carl Jung is Dr. Claw, or even that Alan Dulles is Dr. Claw. I think humanity at large has been kind of oversimplified to think that all these things fall on the shoulder of an individual. You know, I call that the Oswald spell. And it doesn't just mean Lee Harvey. It also means the first Mickey Mouse. The first Mickey Mouse, his name was Oswald. And so is the shooter who allegedly shot Rasputin from a window down into a courtyard as he was running away. So the name Oswald is always this one guy who did it. You know, it's this one individual who he left alone in the control room in Hawaii. He accidentally pressed the button because he wasn't being collectivist enough and put out a false alarm while the Clintons happened to be on the island. So yeah, the Oswald spell it's a fascinating thing. But when I talk about Carl Jung or I talk about Alan Dulles, everybody wants there to be one Dr. Claw. They always want it to be, they want it simple. Just give it to me simple. And that's just can't be the case in the age of think tanks. In the age of think tanks, we can't put a finger on any one single thing. We don't even know the names of these think tanks.
Well, look, the Council 300, the Worshipful Fuelers, I'm straight up, like, I am friends with the author Bruce McDonald. He wrote the book on the global conspiracy. It's called The Light of Darkness, which it's the story of one of these, bagmen, hitmen, who got out because the system was breaking, and he got out, and he told his story to Bruce, got it out there. It may or may not still be available on Amazon, but it is still available. It gets into some of the dark sorcery. It gets into, it touches upon, but doesn't get into off-world. But it doesn't go super woo, because he never went super woo. Not Bruce, but the guy who he co-wrote the book with. And it's a deep explanation, because I think he was working with the Bushes or something like that, and that's what kind of got him in.
Yeah, man. Yeah.
And I think he was a Mormon, and or something like that, and which is why he was like, he didn't ask questions for a long time until it dawned on him.
Wow. Yeah, man, those Mormons are sitting on all kinds of shit. They got everybody's fucking DNA now.
Yeah.
Y'all handed it over. You went to the place of embalming.
And they got no idea. They just trust. They literally they're that gullible. It's terrible.
They went in and they had their little pound of flesh extracted and sent off. And in a weird way, like, think of how that's kind of like ratting on your family. Like, I don't want my DNA turned in, but then my cousin or my brother or whatever turns his in, and now I'm in the database. You know, it's fascinating. Oh, so
right.
So the universe card in my project is proving to be Carl Jung's station, and he's so unique in that he stands in a very unique placement in my project. And that's probably me projecting. I will own that. He has a preeminence in my heart. And so he does have a very unique placement. And it is the universe card, which is a combination of all those southern pole Cygna Octantis constellations all in one. And so I have a real strong star chart in my mind as well. And Carl Jung is like the final ring around the southern pole star, whereas the North Star is a point. So we're looking at the circumpunct. The North Pole Star is a point. The South Pole Star is actually a blackness or an iris or a donut from anything everywhere all at once, collectivism. And you take the ring from Cygna Octantis, you put it on Polaris, and you get the circumpunct. So that is a very fascinating reveal in my project that Carl Jung is so perfectly represented in that Yoniverse card, which I have been constantly led to associate it to the Two Dasein, One Space Odyssey project at the very end with the curling young, that curled up young, which is Verfallen. Verfallen is like to fall prey. It's this falling prey child. And like you were telling me about the eyes, those eyes, those lit up alien eyes, correspond to the Thothdeck Fool card, who's got a hot buzz going, who is modeled after, I'm putting forward the possibility, he's modeled after Winston Churchill in specifically his one of his coronation pictures, not just any picture. When he was young, the young Winston Churchill is the Thoth deck full card. He's even wearing the regalia of that ball sack cord from his that is on the Thoth deck card. It's clear if I could bring the visuals forward. But now you're telling me that the Space Odyssey baby was like Nephilim bloodline intended with exaggerated eyes like that. And that's trippy if it's also Winston Churchill. Like that adds another piece to your puzzle. If that's Winston Churchill Nephilim blood, that's fucking tripped out. That's tripped out. But I did not know that you had done the Odyssey project. And I had Carl Jung as the final card, as the child of the Zodiac, the Aeon playing with draughts. And sure enough, you come and tell me you've already done the legwork with your Odyssey work, and that it was the world card from a Rider-Waite perspective. And I'm tripping because I came to the same conclusion from the Thoth deck perspective. And now I see there might be some initiatory play, some call and response between the two decks. And I think you and I articulated that by coming to these same conclusions from different paths.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure.
So, I don't know who the fuck the Black Pope is. I don't know. But Carl Jung's work was very beneficial to whoever the Black Pope may or may not have been throughout.
You don't believe? Well, they say that the Black Pope is just whoever the president of the Jesuits is.
Right.
And so there's still a Black Pope, but now there is a Pope who may or may not be taking orders from the Jesuit Pope, right? Because because he's kind of because that's like their own guy. And by the way, the Jesuits and the Freemasons do not like each other. They are permitted to have a little spy warfare with each other in this game. You know, because the bloodlines do get to have competition. They do get to compete with each other. They can't completely annihilate each other, but they can be as hateful as they want to be. And the oath of the Jesuits is pretty hardcore and explicitly mentions the Freemasons a couple of times.
Oh, yeah, the strangulation cord and the poison cup, all that shit, it's still in play. University, no S. No S. So, yeah, I took some comfort in the idea that the Masons were Protestant and the Jesuits were it's actually not anti-Protestant. The word choice is important here. It's not anti-Protestant. I'm fucking up if I say that. But they sent out the Jesuits to hunt down the Protestant Masonic agenda. But there's a scary possibility that the Rhodes Scholarship secret wills, the Le Cercle, might have captured all of the Masons. And whatever that started out with on the Protestant tip might not even exist anymore. They might have rounded out the brick. They might have They might have touched that stone so much it's not square anymore.
Well, the most important thing that they're going to care about is that, you know, they have enough control of the nation through, like, the, you know, before the republics and came along with their parliaments and their presidents and things like that. You know, they want the king, they want the emperor. You know, they want them governing things in accordance to their religion.
Yeah, buddy. So I've learned a really handy, you could say a torch or a mantle or a public gang sign. Let's call it a gang sign in academia. SIC as in Sic Sempre Terranis, as in Jean Wilkes Booth jumping out of the booth, playing some puntastic punnery on the minds of the collective. Booth is the Boötes constellation. It is the great void. It is the sphere of destiny. It's also the kite that Benjamin Franklin captured, the spirit of Prometheus. It's a very rebellious word, boots, buotes. So his word, sic simpere terranis, the word SIC in Black's Law, you can look it up in many venues. SIC is used by the translator, and it gives the translator permission to tell you something you don't have the context for. I suggest everybody come to their own terms of what SIC really means. It's a public notice that this is a communique that you don't have the cipher for. And so SIC stands out. It also means archaic interpretations are acceptable, untraditional, non-standard.
Yes, if you want to see this done exquisitely, Season 1, House of Cards. Every time Kevin Spacey talks to you, faces the camera, right?
Oh, shit.
You are the U.S. citizen who gets special access until he becomes vice president. Then all of a sudden, doors have to start closing. You're not as in the office with your guy anymore.
Dude, I'm so glad I don't watch that crap. That's crazy. But does he say
Dude,
sick? Or
first 3 seasons of House of Cards are excellent because the show was still allowed to give away the game. I stopped watching after that because the real world became greater than House of Cards because what was going on in politics, for better or for worse, for whatever reason, our political catalyst of that era caused it. I could sit back and look at the whole insane spectacle of it being revealed behind the National Enquirer level IQ drop that I was looking at in what you think you would call an informed public. And on top of that madness, me, sounding like a rational person, would get lumped in by the low IQ people as a low IQ person from the other side. Right?
So, yeah. It right then at that time, in that time frame, is when the Smith Modernization Act starts happening, and everything that you thought was fiction is starting to become reality. They completely collapsed the realms in a very major way with the Smith Modernization Act, incentivizing the propagandizing of domestically. Propaganda, that's Papa Dragon. That's an anagram for Papa Dragon. You know, these Jesuits, they can't resist. But SIC also translates to "thus it was written." Thus spoke Zarathustra. Thus, in reverse, is Sut. Sut having to do with remuneration, insurance. It's basically insurance. It runs the world for sure.
Well, we're talking about soothe.
Ooh, yeah.
We're talking about you said back. So wait, what did you say? If you didn't say soothe, what were you saying?
Suth.
Oh,
Suth.
You know, I've never heard that word before. Right now that I think about it, right? I just thought you were pronouncing soothe.
Well, that's very interesting because all of this is it's all intrinsic to Cancer, and the scene where Socrates is pointing to the sky and reaching to do it thusly. Thus it was written. He's articulating the story in the art. And so the thus of the set articles of the keystone of culture is the story of Socrates in the Cancer position. So he's doing it thusly. Thus it was written.
Yes.
And there's something very fascinating about all these call signs of Jesuitry because they have a lot of consistency, especially when they're like put out in the front. The first word, the beginning, it's getting acquiescence. It's allowing them through the gates.
Yeah. One of the things that I also said about truth is that truth is pretty close backwards to hurt.
Oh, nice. And that's actually how it translates in Welsh? No, Gaelic? Celtic? Welsh, Celtic, or Gaelic, the word truth means painful.
I've heard that. I've heard that before. Yeah.
I love when other cultures are telling us things that we don't want to hear, but we probably need to.
Yeah. We don't want to hear them because that's literally the whole that's the light chains.
Yeah, buddy.
That's the light chains.
Yeah, you nailed it,
right?
Buddy. So this is how the translator is the traitor.
Look, part of this is that like the devil is not a part of this slab. He perches on it. When I thought about that more, I said to myself, well, why does the devil have to fucking come with this fucking slab? Like, can I just like get something to substitute that doesn't attract the devil perching on it? You know, something
comfort.
Like, you know, in fact, I would like Prometheus himself to show up here. Right? And I'm not saying make the 15 card Prometheus. It might be best to put like I don't know. I'm not 100% sure yet. Maybe it is. But I'm just saying, like, I've got this funky, I'm a fan of Thomas Sheridan, and he's going to be on my show hopefully next month. And he's big on redemption for the pagan Lucifer, right? And I'm just like, yeah, but I think that Lucifer doesn't go far enough back as a name. Because I think, I don't know if the Latin language really was it actually some proper natural tribes, like archaic mythological language?
Dude, these, they're all on the Enneagram. These demonic names, they're vices. The Enneagram is, the shadow aspects of each station is a vice. And it's the viciousness when you're in that position. There's a viciousness to the mentality of each station, and that would be the demon. The most powerful demon of that mentality. But then there's an angel too.
So okay, here's all right. How about this?
Yeah, buddy.
Because we're getting into basically the history of Rome when we talk this way, and I want to say about 10 more minutes, and then we're going to start wrapping it up.
Oh, man. All right. I just said something really provocative. I don't know if I can put the fire out in 10 minutes.
So, let's think about Rome. Rome's origin involves 3 characters. A she-wolf, Romulus, and Remus. Romulus and Remus, the 2 brothers that were raised by the mother wolf, the she-wolf, the great wolf, who was the totem spirit mother of the Etruscan civilization. This is absolutely understood and known. So, what is the difference between a Rom and a Rem? Or a Reem, if you will. Because that's the only difference between these 2 kids.
Well, what comes to mind is the Hamsa, the one in the many, the spokes and the hub is what's coming to mind. I happen to know that the mother wolf is the Lepus constellation on the spear of Centaurus, and if you have a conception under the Lupus, under the Edolf, under the head wolf, if you have a consummation on that night, 9 months later, 2 twins are going to pop out in Gemini. So the mother wolf giving birth to 2 twins is a cosmodrama. And the mother wolf is the Lepus in Libra, holding the scales. This again is Anubis. It's the only dog in the neighborhood holding scales. And 9 months later, you get two twins, Romulus and Remus. That's Castor and Pollux up there in the Gemini.
Are you saying that Canis? Are you saying that Canis Major is Anubis? Is one way that Anubis?
No. The Canis Major and Minor. Well, some
Well,
people.
no. I'm just saying. What did you say was Anubis? I was trying. Like, you don't bring up Anubis with me, and then I ignore it. I did show you.
So Anubis is Saturn. They're the same letters.
I'm working with them.
Here we go.
Working with them.
Yeah.
I made this myself. I'm still working on it.
That's awesome. You kind of nice and dark. So Anubis is Saturn. We're in Libra and this is the blood on the leaves. The leaves turn. The cutting away. The harvest is over. We're death. We're going into the underworld, right? And so that's where Lupus is, the great wolf constellation. Which is in the shape of a lava lamp. Funny enough, which is if you look up Jainism and some of their sacred symbols, you'll find the lupus in Jainism. And I call it the lava lamp wolf. But 9 months later, if you make a baby under lupus, 9 months later, you're going to pop up the twins in Gemini. And there's your Romulus and Remus born of a wolf. And those also Castor and Pollux, all things twins up there, those embraced brothers. I don't know. I'm so visual. I talk over people's heads a lot because I'm so visual. But I can map this out on a compass, but that's 270 degrees around the circle.
My audience is familiar with me having conversations with Dennis Eggleston. So, he is 10 times harder to translate because of the levels of profound that his wily brain operates. He's a really, really wily Aries. Really went through a lot of self-destruction, and he's out there somewhere doing good as I understand it. But he's not doing the internet right now, as far as I can tell.
Nice. It's very appropriate what I'm about to say, maybe in the light of his path. There's an old common law phrase that predates all the world wars by far. It's called Gerit. Hold on. Caput Gerit lupinum. And that is when there's somebody who's cast out of society, you say, let him wear the wolf's head, is what that means in Latin. And that is that this is outlawry as the community chooses it for the individual. This is the community insisting that he wears the wolf's head. And now again, Adolf means head wolf, the noble wolf. Don't lose your olfactory senses. The ability to smell things when mama's cooking is very important.
Right. Yeah. But it's also like, it's almost a mockery though, because if you're not accustomed to living like the wolf, right? In the Northmen, you are raised like a wolf, so that way you are always free. You never have, there's no such thing as homeless. You just go in the woods and you're fine. And you'll have yourself a hut built, in a day.
Providence, baby. Providence.
Right? So, putting the wolf skin on you, it's just like, all right, go out there, Mr. Ulfinar, you think you're a fucking, man ninja. You don't want to get along in society. That's exactly what that effing is. Why? Because I don't believe that in this last grand cycle that mankind has acted much different towards each other. So all these different things we know since the Bronze Age of how we treated each other as white folk, it's straight up, it's basically the same as we do it now. It was just a lot more direct and personal because we didn't have telecommunication.
Yeah, man. Yeah, and anybody who's never gone on a retreat or put the wolf cap on your damn self, I highly recommend it. It's very valuable. I miss my retreats. 3 days minimum, not a fucking word, nothing but wind song. It's the most beautiful thing I've ever heard in my life. And then when you come back to humanity, you're like, what's all this noise about? What is this? It's almost like you're a child again.
I've been enjoying on many a random occasion sigil drawing, rune drawing on my face.
Oh, cool.
Good old, getting some shamanic face paint practice in, if you will. I did it last night because it was the first session of I'm playing Werewolf the Apocalypse with some old friends on Zoom, and so I decided to play as stereotypical as possible because I was kind of making a just like the actual werewolf version of me. So I'm like
Nice.
a Get of Fenris, which is the Norse clan of werewolves, to be an Ulfidnar. So I'm an Ulfidnar shaman, right? And so I draw all the runes and stuff on my face. And I tell the guys, yeah, when I'm in human form, this is what I look like, except my abs are in. Right? And that's it. It's just like, I don't need to like pretend. I would always imagine, okay, I'm playing my role-playing game. What do I look like? That's what I look like. And now I look in the mirror, it's like, holy shit, I look like that. It's just like I look in the mirror, I'm like, holy shit, I look like this werewolf tattoo.
Yeah, buddy. Perseverance.
Right?
Perseverance.
It's something else, and it makes me have less respect for people that don't love themselves enough to at least put some work in. At least burn some calories for yourself, for fuck's sake.
Yeah, hey, before we go, can I flash a few of my visuals to because some of the things I claimed.
Sir, this is a family channel. I'm kidding. Keep going. Yeah. Yeah, flash your visuals, man.
Let's see. If am I prepped to share?
Oh,
or if you could go through.
I wasn't 100% sure you were actually going to share. Hold on. Oops.
If you want, you could just pull up almost anything in just today that I shot your way. That could work too.
Oh, shoot! I'd have to grab all that off of
okay.
Telegram. Oh, that's
If you give me the share, I'll try.
Yeah,
I'll try.
Yeah. Hold on.
Because
shoot, what do I normally hit to do that? I usually don't host these types of Zooms, to be honest with you. Share whiteboard options? No. Breakout room, whiteboard captions.
Let's see.
Shoot. Recognize, play. Because I could have sworn I set up that ability when I established my options.
Let's see.
Let me see. That's video settings. No. Advanced sharing options. I'm sorry.
No, all is well, man. I'm learning too.
Who can share? All participants. Who can start sharing when someone else is? Okay, that's can share at a time. Okay, that should actually do it. There we go.
Right on.
Okay, try now.
Is it working?
No.
No? Let's see.
Try again. Sometimes it takes a second to refresh.
Screen. There we go. Now I got it.
Yay! Badass.
Wow.
All right.
There's my kiddo. Hey, she's famous.
All right.
All right.
She going for the rogue look there? She got the touch of death?
Yeah, man. Yeah, she's a little ninja. All right. Here we go. All right. You seeing this?
Yep.
Wow. This is fun. I've never done this before. Okay. So what we're seeing here, so I'm of the belief that the battlefield that is being waged is very much in the realm of art. And because it's in the realm of art, it has plausible deniability. Everybody says, oh, that's how you see it. Oh, that's how you see it. Oh, that's it. Art is individual. It's all, this is postmodern fuckery. So it's very hard to make the case like, oh, look, the Nazis were using this Viking character as a comic book prod or a trigger. And sure enough, it echoes perfect with our boy Chansley down here, right? Who I call, again, Chewbacca. And now the January 6th, that's a 1/6. That's a tower card.
Did you say Chewbacca?
Yeah, buddy.
I like that one. All right, cool.
It's a.
I'm gonna tell him you said that. You do realize he podcasts on the regular, right?
Oh well, I'm happy to teach him about his fucking archonic daemonic spirit of what the fuck he really means, because it's amazing.
Oh, you should. You should listen. You should listen to the outrageous things he's saying. Oh, you should.
Well, I'm afraid to. I'm afraid to.
Why? Do you believe he can mind control you? Do you think he can put a spell on you, enchant you, destroy your reputation? Does he burn your soul? Is he cringy beyond compare? Is the spellcraft keeping you from just noticing things working? Don't look over here. Don't look over here. It's painful to look at. Don't you think it's strange that you have that knee-jerk reaction of "I'm afraid to look"? Isn't that that's called spellcraft, my friend? That's glamour. That's glamour magic.
That's the grimoire magic. You're right. Yeah. No, I got this. I'm happy where I am. I got Mr. Chansley figured out on the objective.
Sounds good.
I don't need his compartmentalized words. On the objective removed from the person, he is Q-Bacchus. And Bacchus brings people to the frenzy mania. He makes people so crazy that they cannibalize. Whether he knows that or not, I don't need to hear it from him.
He doesn't. He's not really a Q guy anymore. That he did say that he lost faith in Q, basically.
Oh, that is interesting.
Yeah.
So this comic strip is from back in the 30s with the World Wars. And the artist, his name is David Lowe, which in reverse is World Divide. And he's very much, we know about the Spear of Destiny in Hitler. The spear is pointing at the back of the head of Hitler. It's pointing at the Kopf. Kopf is a vow of, is a covenant. It's the back of the head. It's very psychosexual. But all that aside, the Spear of Destiny is Buotes. You can see all the boots from the dead people who have passed on. Buotes is Hades, the hidden one. Buotes is the great void. It's an absence of light in the heavens. So it's interesting to me how the boots are being flashed or implied in the corner, hidden.
Dude, major part of psyops that Owen Benjamin has ranted on a whole lot in the past, and that's the grift of the empty shoes, the piles of empty shoes to imply genocide.
Well, also vacancy, meaninglessness. This is the nihilistic dark chasm of nothing. That is Buotes. So they're empty. Everybody's thinking about the shoe. They're not thinking about the empty. That's the emptiness that generates the void that allows inspiration to happen. And so this David Lowe is drawing on the exact quadrant of inspiration of the Zodiac to pull forth the vacuum, the emptiness that brings in the spirits. Spirits. I'm being hyper literal. I'm not being metaphorical at some point. You know what I mean? This is where the rubber meets the road in Lumashi Starspeak. So David Lowe in reverse is World Divide. You can look into him, but he's totally puppetry. Let's see. I'm good. Can you see me zooming?
Yep.
Okay. So funny enough, we had a comet going right through the Gemini and Cancer. Again, Cancer being all things Caesarian, seizing, grabbing, taking control, commanding with the power of question, the authority of the question. Gemini brothers are embracing their. It's also Second Amendment is your right to bear arms. But it's very fascinating that recently, August 25th, we had a meteor right in between those two locations. So I just happened to catch that and highlight it.
And I'll say this much in my partial knowledge of Norse, the Norse northern sky. Gemini is actually called the Eyes of Thiazi, and Thiazi was a powerful Jotun king who was defeated by Odin, and then his eyes were thrown into the heavens to look down upon the realm. Right, so Odin uses the eyes of this king to see everything that is happening in Midgard.
That's interesting. By chance, are the eyes different? Is like one blue and one brown, or is there anything? Are they just two eyes? Is there anything unique differentiating them?
It doesn't say so in the story, as far as I know. There might be extra information, or I may just be forgetting something because it's been a hot minute. But it's commonly known. Although there's still a lot of I think there's still a lot of work being done in getting a comprehensive idea of the astrotheology of the northern sky, just because we're still interpreting basic things in the northern sky, whether it be, Ursa, like Ursa Minor is Fenrir, and Polaris is Tyr's hand on the leash of Fenrir. Right?
Oh, man. Oh, doggone it. Dude, I have to object. I love you, brother. I love you.
You have to object to Ursa Minor being Fenrir?
Is that the dog?
The dire wolf that will consume Odin in Ragnarok.
Oh, doggone it. Okay, well, I'll go along with it.
Okay.
I'm sorry. I'm being
you
a nerd,
can
but
you
I've
have
actually...
you have every right to argue with me. We are
buddy.
friends, and I am not going to judge you because you might think
Good
the
deal.
Earth is round or something. Okay.
Right
So
on, right
secondly.
on.
Secondly, we are going to wrap this up because I got to get ready for bed.
Okay.
It is a work night.
All right, let me blaze through. So yeah, bat, being and time. It was originally being and truth, wasn't it?
I don't remember.
I think his first edition was being and truth, and then it became being and time when he took it further. He furthered the book. But being and truth is an anagram for Ruth Bate Jins. ND, there's a remaining two letters, which is a hand, the silent Greek H. So the ND, but it's also Nossa Senora, Our Lady. So Ruth Bader Ginsburg's name is Truth and Time anagrammed out.
Wow.
But all things about the bat becomes really crucial here because being in time, B-A-T. So you look into the bat, and it turns out in the West, the bat is good. In the East, the bat is bad. This is the Bat El. This is the god of battle, the battle cry. This is the one who can see in the dark, who can see in the night with echolocation, 360-degree perspective. So you look into the difference in people's attitude around the bat. And sure enough, we got the X-Wing fighters versus the Darth Ventilators style fighter.
Right.
So this is two cosmologies on their, this is the East versus the West. Star Wars, the bats, these two different type perceptions of the bird, becomes like East versus West, experimentally. And if that's the case, look how predictive that is. Right?
Oh, okay. All right.
Right?
I see.
In the bat, now keep in mind that these battle chariots, that they have radar. They can see in the dark. They use the ping.
Yeah. I did look into that symbol on the flag. That is a bird.
Right. Yes. I think it's I keep getting big Cygnus pings. The Cygnus constellation, as it's right next to Delphinus, which is often,
Symbolically, it works as Cygnus, but
yeah.
think of it actually the other way around, right? Because we're looking at it as if it is flying up. It's diving
right.
down. The head is
That's
on the bottom. It's diving down.
Totally. So you got to invert it to see it. Yeah, man.
Yeah. You
But
gotta invert
look
it
at
to
how
see
much
it.
Trump looks like that fucking tower card right there.
Right.
Eating,
I mean, it's also the fact that it's got that certain jackal head to it, or even the Anubis head. It even kind of looks like.
Right. Yeah. So this is a graphic I put together a while back. But what gets me is how that the artist David Lowe was using this Viking for kind of a Reichstag moment in history way back then. And then January 6th, everybody's going to pretend like that was anything like the Reichstag. So that's pretty,
Yep.
whatever, triggering historically.
All right, we'll do one more, then
right.
you're going to plug your stuff, and we're going to call it a night.
Gotcha, buddy. Gotcha. Let's see. Obamacare is macabre way. Hold on. This is Tazidi, the fishhook, which has to do with Job 41, if anybody's wondering. And I'm seeing Tazidi very much playing into their fallen and the falling prey. The shape of Tazidi is falling and praying. It's been acknowledged as that. It has so much meaning.
Yeah, I see that in the silhouette.
Yep, and the Tazidi is the fish hook that has everything to do with Job 41 and calling forth the Leviathan, mastering the Leviathan.
Yeah.
Here's some fair fallen for us. Let's see. Can I turn it sideways? Here's some fair fallen. Look at the Malak Carditis spell of everybody falling backwards. Look what happened to Ashley Babbitt. This is actually the muse Cleo, the muse of history. She's holding a scroll, and she is the muse of Pausanias. So Ashley Babbitt has a pause on her anus, and she fallen backwards onto her book bag. That's the Tower of Babel. If you look up the art around Cleo, the muse of history, you'll see that they were writing history in the squid, false, fake-ass blood that was Ashley Babbitt's her shot to the throat. That is a torn bugle cry is the trachea. The word trachea is a ripped bugle. And the muse, Cleo, is holding a bugle, a horn. So yeah, all things fair fallen, falling backwards. Even Thanos, when he gets axed, he falls backwards to disappear. Let's see. And now, keep in mind, people should really study what Verfallen means on many levels. It is not this simple that I could talk about it in 5 minutes. That is presumptuous and asshole-ish. But you should get your head around Verfallen because it's all over the place anymore. And then, the Von Ham line with the 2023 was the score. On the 48th yard line, well, the 48th prime number is 223. It's the yard line is the year delineated, and it's all Kill Bill, revenge. People are getting a false catharsis from hoping that maybe one of the elites took the poke and got their due comeuppance. So, yeah, that's just some work I've done. Oh, and here I want to also differentiate the Rider-Waite full card is moving forward. I think he is in the spring with basically in the spring. He's basically Orion upside down, but he's Orion.
Right, that's what I've been saying. He's Orion because the dog is Canis Major. It's just you have to use your imagination because Canis Major is in front of Orion.
Well, that's why you got to flip it. If you flip like we just did with the Cygnus, if you flip it, it fits. You got to flip the stars. You'll see it if you play with it. But then that is not the same as this Fool card. And now pay attention to the Bengal tiger on the legs of that Fool card, just like the Bengal is hitting the bills here. This Fool card is falling backwards. You can tell from the boots Boötes, the Boötes
Okay.
constellation.
Yeah,
If you
yeah.
want to imagine the future of fascism, think of a boot stomping on the face of humanity forever. That is Italy. Italy is the boot stomping on the face of forever. It's
You're
also the
right.
constellation
You're right.
that
And
is.
Mandela effect, Sicily, which would be that face, is
Yep,
right underneath the boot now.
that's right. And in the flag of Sicily is the Medusa, who is married to Hephaestus, the Vulcan god, who got kicked out of Olympus twice. He's the leg end. He's the legend of getting kicked out twice. And he landed on Sicily. So, yeah, man. All things Boötes having to do with these dark inspirations and the Jesuitry of it all. And I'll shut up on that.
Yeah, yeah. Excellent. I'm really glad you landed the plane on that. All right, guys. So we're going to get back into the Heidegger series soon. I have to round things out with my schedule over here. It's a little bit complicated, and I got one more day of work tomorrow before I can start relaxing, and hopefully you'll also be catching me on the Weave if there's a Weave, and it's a Weave that I am invited upon. One can only hope. All right, I will catch you guys later. Slick, you promoted yourself. You got it all out, right?
Hold on. Yeah, catch me, Slick Dissident, on YouTube, but I'm also on Rockfin with Chance Garton. I get down with the One-on-One podcast and Rising from the Ashes. And everybody should get your Occultus Mundi. Oh, look. It's actually turning up. Get your Occultus Mundi. It's the occult mag that Juan and Thomas, Paranoid American, has put together. Coming out on Paranoid American next month. It's going to take them forever to get it over. And want everybody to look each other in the eyes more. Look your fellow man in the eyes more. It's going to help.
Yeah, it's having a flexible and sturdy spine is gonna get you to look them in the eye.
That's what, and that's where the power is going to be. Authenticity. Authenticity.
All righty. All right, I'm going to hit the closing screen. So just mute up.